matchups, there are like situational picks that can work really well. And I think that people just sometimes aren't like willing to do it.
Hang on. Oh, I think we're in picks and bans. Go ahead, casters.
Take it away, Shocks.
So anyway.
Thank you very much, Shocks. We are into picks and bans, as you say. Let's jump on into it. Obviously, apologies for the delay. We had to make sure everything was sorted on the stage. PSG up against HANWHA as we jump on into this one, Betty. PSG on the blue side are going to get rid of Irelia. No real surprises there. Xin Zhao taken away by HANWHA.
Let's see if things like the Tryndamere are also removed from the side of PSG. We know that Chovy and Maple are both quite happy to pick this one out. So we are going to see the Talia removed. We have seen this Talia banned every now and then. In particular, I think it's a little bit more directed towards Willa in the jungle. And we know that Chovy does love to play those AD mids. The same respect coming out towards Maple and his Zoe. So right now, just a lot of very specific target bans towards the other side, showcasing that, hey, we don't want to have to play against this. And things like Lee Sin still up and available. Thinking about other power picks, Yuumi still up and available. Graves, not really been a high priority ban, but has been quite a common blind pick.
Sure.
Perhaps if either of these teams want to remove them. And Lucian and MF. I don't think we haven't cast an MF game today yet, have we?
I don't believe so, no.
We had a Felios.
The Ziggs into Jhin, and then we had a Felios into Lucian.
Yeah. So, yeah, day 2 already, a bit of a surprise and change in priority as teams have been moving away from this MF. But there is that Lee Sin ban that we're pretty consistently seeing on the red side. The Yuumi will now be locked in, your favorite support champion in the game, Medic. Yuumi, it just seems to be, is really strong right now. So it was funny because when I was talking to teams about it coming into the tournament, they were telling me how Yuumi is really strong, but only with certain AD carries. And I was like, okay. So I found out what those AD carries were. But then now, Yuumi's being paired with any and all AD carries. So teams are just like, nope, I've changed my mind. Yuumi's just really, really strong. And it's funny because Yuumi Draven was something that Kedra and I were discussing a lot coming into the tournament ban. Like, it's probably going to be quite good.
Yeah.
Because you pair a like weak laner in the form of Yuumi with a strong laner in the form of Draven, and Draven can just kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting while Yuumi then just acts as that support.
Sure.
So the fact that they're denying that, I do wonder if that is directed towards PSG's bot side of the map. In any case, we are going to get to see Deft's Draven, which is always going to be an exciting one for sure.
It definitely means as well, if that Yuumi is caught outside her partner in the bottom lane, she can be quite easily shut down by this Draven. Camille as well locked in for Morgan on the top side. It looks like PSG are erring towards a Jhin down towards the bottom. Not something you usually see teamed up with a Yuumi, as you say. You usually want something that's, you know, wants to chase a little bit more, has slightly more DPS.
But even the MF,
yeah.
You know, I would have expected that to come out instead, but it seems that the Jhin, we've already seen it once today, rising in priority just a little bit. And the LeBlanc gonna round out for Maple. This will give Chovy the ability to counterpick, which is definitely a good thing for Chovy, but I think that PSG also recognized that, well, actually, I think that they did have options here to be able to pick something into the Camille, but they will still have that later on into the draft. As you imagine now, the Jarvan is going to be locked in the jungle. So when we kind of look at what HLE have got for themselves, they do have options to play around both top and bot side of the map. I think the great thing about Camille, though, is depending on the matchup, is you don't actually have to invest resources into her. She's quite a strong laner by her own right. Whereas Draven, I think it's in your best interest to try and get those stacks cashed in as soon as you can. Get the Draven snowballing and kind of get him already ahead in the game. So wouldn't be surprised to see HANWHA play a little bit more towards the bot side of the map, but admittedly, that's not typically how they play.
Yeah.
When speaking to the LCK casters, they were telling me a lot about how, like, in playoffs, when they started playing through bot was actually when they started to find a lot more success. So perhaps we will get to see that in this game.
Obviously, Draven a little bit easier to cash in on these days because of the execution damage on the ultimate. That happened a couple of patches ago. It means that you can stack up that adoration just a little bit easier and get that gold a little bit more simply. Olaf and Twisted Fate removed in this second phase. Looks like PSG don't really want to see Chovy all around the map, but Rise still available for him if he wants to go towards that. Still has the option to influence the rest of Summoner's Rift from the mid lane.
Thinking about what other junglers might also be available for PSG. Kiana, Xin, Talon, all up and ready to go for River, should he want to. We have seen Viego just disappear this tournament, and obviously coming into the World Championship, he was like the most played for everyone.
Yep.
But he did receive some pretty significant nerfs over the last few patches, and has clearly kind of been moved to the wayside in favor of champions like the Jarvan, as we now see Chovy going to grab himself one of his comfort picks in the form of the Azir. So, HANWHALIFE, they've got a pretty solid teamfight composition. They have the ability to play 1-4. They can also move the Azir off onto the sideline if they want. They can play 1-3-1, but they have very solid wave clear. They have the extra range and disengage tools that are offered with the Azir, and overall, it's just kind of like a very solid front-to-back comp.
And on the other side, PSG will look towards that Talon Yumi combination that we saw T1 use so well yesterday. Alongside that, towards the top lane into this Camille, currently a Gwen for Hanabi.
A lot of mobility on this PSG composition already. I love seeing mobility champions into a Jarvan because, well, the EQ combo can already be quite difficult to land against champions with a dash, but your ultimate then becomes so much harder to add value when you can't really lock anyone down because they can just dash out of it. So high mobility comp here from PSG. They have really strong side laners that will scale very nicely later on to the game. I would say that the biggest problem that they will have is that the composition overall is relatively short range, with LeBlanc really being the biggest exception, as Vsta actually going to get himself the pike as well. So HANWHALIFE going for a very heavy kill lane towards the bot side of the map, and we talked about maybe they'll look to play through bot. I really think they're going to look to play through bot.
I think they might in this sort of situation with the Pike-Draven bot lane, alongside the fact that the Jarvan can get down towards that bot. I mean, I was going to say to you as well, the rest of the map may have a lot of mobility, but PSG's bot lane does not. Jhin, not an incredibly mobile champion. Obviously, he can get some extra move speed out there, but no dashes for him. The Yumi, very easy to lock up if she's sitting on top of that Jhin. And a single EQ combo or a hook from this Pike might be enough to start the snowball rolling for HANWHALIFE.
I really feel that PSG's composition is very much about trying to attack the side lanes. We already saw it at the beginning of the day from T1, whereas HANWHALIFE are looking to try and dominate the bot side of the map. They have pretty strong team fighting tools. I will say that PSG's poke is quite good with things like the LeBlanc, but it's this Gwen that really I'll be keeping my eyes on, because the scaling threat that this Gwen can offer can be monumental. And even, remember, Gwen is immune. It can be problematic for an Azir, because depending on how she spaces and how she uses that W skill, you can't even dodge away from that and then still get on top of the Azir. So can definitely be a lethal threat coming into this game, but we'll see how well PSG can enable their top side. Can they set up Hanabi to be one of the big carries, or will HANWHALIFE look to dominate using their Draven Pike 2v2 bot lane?
On to Summoner's Rift we go for the third game of the day. PSG often actually play through River. He's the one getting the leads for his team. High damage a minute, high gold per minute as well, and involved in the majority of his team's kills. So we'll see what he can do on this Talon top lane. Obviously a key point where he could focus, and I will say, Vedi, he's gone teleport.
Well, yeah, you
Talon.
just said Talon top lane, and I was like, you must have seen the TP.
Oh, sorry, yes. It's jungle Talon. See if he can go top lane.
Yeah, they're running triple teleport, Medic. Oh my, it's not fair. So they've got, so they just like flash, psht, old news. Who needs flash when you can have every other summoner spell, right? You have Exhaust Ignite in the bot lane, you have TP Smite in the jungle, and you have TP Ignite in the top side of the map. If this doesn't speak cross-map, mobility, side lanes, I don't know what will. PSG is going to look to find skirmishes, look to attack the map all over the place, and hopefully we get to see a little bit more proactivity in the early game for PSG, because they definitely struggled against RNG yesterday.
This has got to be the least flashes ever taken in a Worlds game. I'm not going to ask our stats team to check, because that would be very unfair on them, and they're already overworked.
4? Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
It's 6 flashes out of 10 players.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, honestly, I feel like that my solo queue teammates just never have their flash up, so I definitely know what it feels like.
I will say also there's a very clear reason that I don't play solo queue during Worlds, and it's stuff like this. Stuff like this.
Yeah, just your friendly medic warning there. Remember to take solo queue in a moderate amount during the World Championship.
Very easy to overdose on it. And now we see hanwhalife going for an early invade. They were able to push PSG out of their jungle. Willa will take away this red buff after having so many camps stolen from him yesterday against Fnatic. He is the one here doing the stealing. Spotted on a ward though in Unified, and Kaiwing will back away. One thing for HANWHA is they'll actually be pretty happy with the way this map has been split. If they can play with their jungler on the bottom side of the map and force River to be on the top side, they can look for plays like this. The level 2 dive TP coming in. Unified's going to flash away. Vsta looking for the damage, but he missed the hook. Will miss the stun as well. River, that was not who I was expecting to TP in, as Deft uses the heal to keep himself alive. River getting chased down. Flash forward. One more auto will be enough, but River gets the heal out of Unified. Chase down, there we are. Willa in the end with the martial cadence will get the kill.
What just happened? A lot of things took me by surprise right there, because first of all, junglers TPing bot was definitely not what I expected. And the fact that Willa spent so much time, we said that they were going to play towards the bot side of the map. I was not expecting a level 2 dive to happen. Still, hanwhalife end up coming out on top. Willa gets himself first blood, and he will also get himself a blue, along with his entire bot side jungle to clear. So let's have a look back at exactly what happened. So of course, hanwhalife, they get themselves the early level 2, thanks to their push. Then they go and threaten to dive. River then TP's in, having a level advantage, and then with the Yuumi on top of him, he's thinking, hey, I can commit. The problem is Unified and Kaiwing can't offer anything because they're only level 1. That was a good heal coming out from Unified, but then with the W missing onto Willa, there's no real way that they can turn this around. So while River thinks that he's committing to a good fight, the reality is he's putting himself in a 1 versus 2 against a Draven and a Jarvan, with which they are very quickly able to turn around in their favor.
I do like the idea, though, that River was like, okay, I'm playing top side of the map, but if they dive you, I'm just going to TP down to you guys to try and turn this fight around. And they almost did. Vsta unable to hit the Qs. Unified continually dodged them, but now no summoners on that PSG bottom lane. And importantly, Vsta still has his flash. So it's very easy to land an E-flash, get the stun, get the hooks on towards that AD carry.
You know, it's funny because I was just thinking about it. You know, often in casts we'll talk about like, oh, this person lost their flash and this person lost their flash. Now we're going to be like, yeah, Gwen no flash, Talon no flash, Yuumi also has no flash. So a lot of possibilities available all across the map.
On the top side of the map, we haven't really had too much focus on it, but Hanabi has built himself up about a 10 CS lead, forcing Morgan away once again. Morgan does have the teleport, so we'll be able to get back on into that lane with the Sheen that he has just purchased. However, Unified and Kaiwing, definitely going to be a key focus here for HANWHA as they continually push them in. It's a double CS lead for Deft right now, but there is a wave of about, let's say, 9-10 minions.
Chovy's basing, has the teleport.
River's here as well, though.
I think he has to be.
Respect it.
Well, of course, hanwhalife are going to threaten the dive. Oh, Chovy's actually choosing to TP into mid lane.
Yeah, Maple has a counter TP here. You have to feel as soon as that TP goes to mid lane that you back away.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
as HANWHA.
exactly. Yep. Well, you say that. Willa, he's still hovering around. He's just getting some vision, and he's going to disengage off the back of that. So I will say that Willa, the thing about that level 2 play was he spent a lot of time doing very little.
Sure.
And the moment that the TP came through from River, if they had just disengaged, I think River would have been in a really good spot. Because they then could have considered looking to actually invade Willa, knowing that River had a level advantage. But because of all the shenanigans that happened, Willa didn't actually end up losing that much, even though he spent so much time just hovering bot lane. He was on 7 CS. He did a camp and a bit. So it was kind of fortunate for Willa that he was even able to get that kill, because honestly, it could have ended up in another situation like we saw against Fnatic, where he was put very far behind in the jungle.
Now he has gone back and picked up his first blue buff that he has actually secured himself of the game. Maple here with a Kaiwing on his shoulder, watching as he trades with Chovy. Vsta sitting in the wings as well, looking to see if he can find a catch, but River will spot him out as he steps into this jungle. And Kaiwing can just jump onto River. It's what we've seen quite commonly from Yuumi's, as you don't spend that much time with your AD carry after the first few levels, and instead you team up with your jungler and see if you can make things happen on those ganks.
I feel like no one sticks around with their AD carry anymore. It is just a top-side focused game. We heard Azel talking about it on the analyst desk, where dragons are just being ignored in this day and age, and instead the focus is all on the Herald, and that's because supports are like bye. And then the AD carries just sit there, they chill, and they farm. The bot dives you just don't see as much these days just because of how much value the Herald is considered to be.
I think it's kind of to do with the AD carry meta as well, right? Varus, Ezreal, if you can just farm, and Ziggs as well, you just farm from long range. It's like, well, I don't need to be here to protect you, so you can farm and I'll go do other things on the rest of the map.
Well, that's the thing that surprises me because, like, as you see in this game, it's a Draven game, so you want to play around bot. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing a 7-minute Drake because they basically have permanent priority in this 2 versus 2. But also with things like MF Lucian, people are still roaming around the map and they're not really looking to set up dives towards the bot side of the map. So yeah, it's a little bit surprising, but we'll see how things evolve as the tournament
It's a good hook.
Good hook.
Unified, stunned up, trying to get away with the heal. Does still have the flash as well. The summoner's back off cooldown. Exhaust and ignite burnt from Kaiwing. But here is Willa, and he has level 6. Unified does still have flash. Let's see if they can escape. Deft pushing in the wave of the whirling. Deft comes back. Willa takes the kill. No adoration stacks for you today, Deft.
Very cleanly done. Willa still looking for more.
Kaiwing's dead.
Yes, he is.
Double TV's coming out as well, and this could be a 4v2 in the bottom lane, still in favor of hanwhalife. Morgan, a little bit late to the party, but keeps Hanabi from going in on his teammates.
And just relentless aggression towards the bot side of the map. We talked about it in the draft, and it's kind of coming into fruition. From level 2 to level 6, Willa has just been looking for opportunities to dive, and every time Deft has had a stacked wave, Jarvan has been there ready to dive. This is how you play around your Draven. This is how you shut down the opposition bot lane, and hanwhalife are doing a very good job.
I will say his 186 adoration stacks could use some cashing in pretty soon. Every time it's happened, Willa's been able to pick up the kill in the end.
As a jungle aficionado myself.
Oh, sure.
If a jungler's going to invest that much time bot lane, they deserve some of the, you know, some of the money too.
Sure, and if the AD carry's giving you the kill, they deserve some of your camps. That's how it works, right?
Well, as you can see, Willa using his ultimate very nicely there. I mean, the dive was just very well set up. Deft and Vsta had already gotten a really good trade prior to the dive, so because of how low health Unified and Kaiwing were, Willa didn't really have to do a lot. He just showed up, pressed his ult, and he was like, all right, let's take it. Now Vsta on the roams, made his way up towards the top side. Let's see if they can get anything off the back of it.
Yeah, no flash on Hanabi means this could be a pretty easy fight. Hexagold Maiden coming out. Gwen is immune. Hook misses. Bone Skewer goes wide. Vsta not yet level 6. And we'll get the wave shoved in, but because River was on the roam, they didn't want to take that fight any further.
Yep. My name is Gwen, and I am immune. that is a 1 versus 3. Now, to Hanabi's credit, he was able to sidestep the hook, and he was able to sidestep the knocker from Willa. So basically, the 2 utility tools that hanwhalife did have did not hit him, and they were in range to hit him. So fair play to him. Good fancy feat there to be able to navigate around that one. And look at this, 40 CS lead in the top lane. You know, I know that Morgan has received some criticism, and he's a player that during the regular season did receive a lot of assistance, but just straight up in the 1v1, I'm pretty sure this is a pretty good matchup for Gwen. And Hanabi is making it work right now, so while his bot lane is getting shut down, they still have a win condition in the top side of the map.
Hanabi very comfortable on the Gwen as well, was his most played across the course of the PCS, so no surprises he wanted to bring it out here, but he has been able to build a sizable chunk of change in terms of a CS lead. And of course, Hanwha have been leaving Morgan on an island, right? Like, no doubts about it. Hanabi versus Morgan has been predominantly a 1v1. Sometimes River's gone up there, but Willa has not been anywhere near this lane. He's been only on the bottom side of the map, so Morgan just getting forced back by Hanabi constantly.
And it's reflected if you look at the CS, right? You can see that while that difference does exist in the top side of the map and the bot side, Deft is in exactly the same position. And I think that it's a really effective strategy for Hanwha. Invest in Deft, invest in Chovy. You know that these 2 players, well, you don't need to invest anything in Chovy because he'll just do it himself. As you can see, 140 CS in 11 minutes. The CS King is considered one of the best laners for a reason, and you're getting a first glance look at it. River now does have the Herald. They have the right set on putting more money into Hanabi.
Morgan's Hexagold Momentum about to come off cooldown. This could be a large gold injection for the PSG top laner, but River decides against putting down the Herald for the moment at least. 2,000 gold the lead for hanwhalife as they look to make it 2-0 so far in this group.
Thank you, MasterCard. A gold drinker now completed for Willa. I wanted to make a fun Medi-Vedi jingle for that. You know, like a... but I couldn't think of like a good rhyme. You know, like,
I mean, the thing with it is it's the first mythic of every game.
yeah.
And I am pretty sure in 99% of games it's the Gore Drinker alarm. I dream of it in my sleep. My support is like, oh, enemy jungler's got Gore Drinker.
Think of a cool, wouldn't it be like kind of surreal having like a cute jingle for when it's called Gore Drinker? You know?
I'm gonna kill you.
Yes. It's the mace that loves to suck your blood, yeah. You know, like,
Gore Drinker,
yeah.
Gore Drinker.
No. Wait, but now we're just saying Grease, aren't we? Grease
Our
lightning.
viewers are too young to know that was various.
All right, now Deft did just take away the red buff. No, he didn't. That was another jungle camp. Therefore, Willow took it. You know, as much as they're playing around Deft, it kind of there's some weight to what you were saying. Yep. They're not really giving much to Deft, are they?
Willow's getting it all. Yesterday he was denied his entire jungle. Today he takes both, and he takes the kills on top of it.
Walking up to the camp and he's like, I'll take this one.
Excuse me.
So you can have the next one.
Which one of us is the jungler?
Yeah.
This is the jungle.
Meanwhile, the Drake will drop. Another plate goes in the back pocket of Chovy. And I don't think Maple's going to be able to get anything off the back of that. So HANWHA, they've extended the gold lead to 2.5k now. They have very solid control over this early game. They invested a lot towards the bot side of the map, built a massive CS advantage and gold advantage, and now Vsta has his eyes on the top side of the map. They know that the play is coming, they know that the dive is coming.
They know the Rift Herald is going to get put down as well. There's a very small window here that River actually still had time to get plates out of this Herald, so he'll put it down. Morgan will farm underneath the tower. The Rift Herald will not kill off this turret itself, and so gold will go over to Hanabi and to River. But in the end, Morgan easily survives with the help of Vsta and Willa.
Good awareness from HANWHA, recognizing that this dive was likely to come through, that River needed to use this Herald. And not the best case scenario for PSG, but better than nothing. They still stay within 2k gold. They still have a very clear win condition in the form of Hanabi. And this Gwen is definitely someone you have to keep your eye on. Chovy will get his first upgrade of the game.
Hanabi has Riftmaker and Needlework available, so...
It's hard to lock down a Camille, though, unless she commits onto you, you know, because if she does have that hook shot, immediately can dive away to safety.
I mean, Gwen has no hard CC in her kit, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
very easy for Morgan to escape even without the flash, and Hanabi just trying to force Morgan out of lane, continually denying CS. Morgan going for the Triforce Camille here. A bit more damage out of that, but it's going to be a difficult lane for Morgan for the next while, and because of that, he is falling behind in terms of CS, but as you said before, Deft with a sizable lead, as has Chovy, who is farming up this mid lane as Storm. 160 CS at the 14.5 minute mark. Deft as well, sitting at 142 to Unified, who is just about to crest 100.
It's just, I don't know where he gets it from, you know? You're like, there isn't that much farm in the game, Chovy. How are you? It's an enigma, that's for sure. Always impressive to watch. But I mean, it's also interesting because it's been one of Chovy's criticisms. He's a phenomenal laner, but sometimes you don't always see that same impact outside of the lane, right? And it's one of those things where, obviously, so far in groups and play-ins, he's been able to translate that pretty successfully.
They don't know Rivers here?
They do not, but it doesn't look like they're going to overcommit anyway. HANWHA, they're just going to continue to take their time. Ooh, River, though, looking for a pick, but everyone has a dash in this game. Literally everyone except the AD carries.
Yep.
There's so much mobility in this game. I never realized that. There's literally...
Well, why do you think no one's got flash, Vidius?
True. Who needs flash? When walls mean nothing to you.
Exactly. If you have a dash, you don't need to take that flash for this game, and so far...
That's a good bar.
Thanks, man.
Who needs dash?
I could be part of a rap battle one day, but you don't invite me.
You got the dash.
Yeah.
It's that hosting dash.
Let's not. Dracos isn't here, and so you're gonna embarrass yourself
True.
on the stage.
Freestyling.
Hip hop hippopotamus style. Anyway.
I mean, it's a bit of a slow game,
yeah,
right?
100%.
We talked about win conditions and how HANWHA wanted to play very much around the bot side of that, which they've successfully done. PSG wanted to play through top, which they've also successfully done. HANWHA have so much more control around the Drakes because of their bot lane focus. Meanwhile, PSG have been focusing more on the Herald, which they got, but weren't able to translate that into any towers. No towers have dropped so far, so really, both teams have just kind of handshaked. And that's kind of why the cast has gone a little bit weird, because right now, there's nothing really for either team to contest for. The next Drake will be respawning in a minute's time, and I think that that is something that PSG could look to fight for if they wanted to. The problem is Draven has an item, Unified doesn't. So that might put PSG off of it, and instead they could look to cross-map somewhere else in the map. But Herald has been started, and PSG could say, hang on, you get the Drakes, we get the Heralds. Let's see if they look to fight for this.
For the moment, they are not going for it. River's going to clear out this control ward. Unified catching the wave in the middle lane. Maple does have TP. Tower falls first of the game over to PSG. Rifthold was stopped there. PSG can just work their way down towards this bottom side river. It is a pretty big soul, actually, for both these teams. Having a mountain soul, having that shield against the burst damage that comes out of either of these teams can be pretty effective at stopping their initial trades in fights. Chovy here could get flank TP'd, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Double TP coming in. River and Hanabi on their way. Chovy's going to try and get away, does still have the flash. Harold Path coming down, but Chovy is shut down by Maple, who takes his first kill of the game and PSG's first kill of the game to boot.
And the timing of this was perfect for PSG because the dragon is just about to spawn, which means that they don't need a massive team fight. They don't have to worry about playing into the Draven with his completed item. Instead, they can just leverage their numbers advantage and secure themselves their first Drake of the game. So great stuff coming out from PSG, and in particular, getting that kill onto Maple is very valuable, considering the 200 CS that is coming out from Chovy will mean that he's still probably ahead in gold of Maple, even though he is, dead.
It does almost come back to that thing you were saying. It's like, Chovy in lane is great, but if you can't actually take that laning lead that you have developed and expand it into something else, then it can cost you. And here, Chovy just a little bit overextended, didn't respect the double TP from the jungle top duo of PSG and got caught out. He does still have a lead, 600 gold over Maple, but it is a small mercy there for PSG, and they keep that gold within about 1,000 now, Vedius.
Yes, they've reduced it from the 2K to 1K, and PSG saying that, hey, we're still very relevant in this game, and for sure they are. And that's one of the things. I would say that this has been one of the slower games, because even in the Gen G game yesterday that didn't have a lot of kills, the fact that there was a solo kill in mid and the fact that BDD had so much control, it felt like that Gen G were in favor from start to finish, whereas this game, it actually feels dead even. You can see that both teams have very clear win conditions, and while there are CS discrepancies and the gold is slightly in favor of HANWHAlife, the towers are in favor of PSG, the Drakes are slightly in favor of HANWHA, and it's kind of just getting to a point where both teams are quite content to sit back, scale, not try and overforce anything, and just kind of wait for those moments to fight.
I think I would have said until that Chovy kill that I was still very much on the side of HANWHA, because I thought, they'll set up for this third dragon. Chovy's in a good position. They were 2,000 gold ahead, and as much as Hanabi was fed, he wasn't really impacting that much as of that point. But now, as you say, pretty even TP available here for Maple if he wants to get behind Chovy once again. But Chovy saved both his teleport and his flash on the last play, so should be able to escape this one pretty easily. Dashes, there's the exhaust final chapter coming out, flash away, but Chovy's still rooted, puts down the Sun Disc, and the Emperor's Divide will keep them at bay for the moment. Hanabi going in, and Maple with the TP behind secures the kill, dashes back underneath the Sun Disc, one tower, two shots, doesn't quite take the third, is able to survive. Cataclysm coming out, Maple dodges it straight back into the waiting arms of Chovy. 1 for 1 so far in this fight. Morgan eats a couple of the curtain calls, Willa forced down towards the bottom side, Morgan low, Willa low as well. Hanabi just in the middle of them all, the shutdown from Unified, the long range snipe is enough, and PSG win the fight in the bottom lane.
And I love what we're seeing from PSG, because one of the things that we talked about right at the start of the game was triple teleports, and we needed to see PSG use them. They used them first to attack Chovy, they used them again to attack Chovy. They have such great deep vision in order to find these successful flanks, and they're finding them. They're finding these picks, and this time around it turned into a fight, which PSG was able to come out on top of, and now that gold means less and less. So you can see PSG, yes, they had a bit of a slow early game, but their momentum is building. They're getting stronger, and they're saying, hey, HANWHA, you may have been considered favorites coming into this matchup, but we can still go toe-to-toe, and we're still someone worth fearing in this group.
Yeah, PSG went toe-to-toe at MSI and continue to look to do it here. Chovy, you think he can get away at this point, but flashing under the tower, putting down the Sun Disc in this Axel replay just wasn't enough.
And you have to keep track of Maple. He invested everything, flash into W to try and chase that. Then he goes back to his W, and then he has the W come back off cooldown here. Willa then tries to ult him, and then he goes back to his W. No one realizes that he's back there, and then Chovy's turret actually ends up getting the kill. But now at this point, hanwhalife have overcommitted. They've spent everything trying to get that kill onto Maple, which means that PSG can go for the ring in. Just look at Hanabi. He's like, I am immune. I don't care. You cannot do damage to me, but I can do damage to you. Therefore, PSG end up coming out on top, and you can see them elated after a very successful team fight for PSG.
Great fight for them, and obviously bad for hanwhalife that Deft did not pick up that kill on Maple, because if he had, that's 500 stacks that he is getting gold for. That's a huge amount of money extra for that Draven as the Riptide goes down in the mid lane. Boot from Maple. Curtain calls are pulled down here, but Willa able just to stand behind the rest of HANWHA and escape. Tower goes down in the bottom lane as well. That's 2 turrets over to hanwhalife, as PSG perhaps caught napping a little bit there on the reset timers.
Well, HANWHA, they did have the Herald, and PSG, they tried to match it. They ended up losing the tower. They saw an opportunity to maybe get a pick onto Willa. Didn't quite come through. Meanwhile, Morgan, because Hanabi had just reset, had a window where he could then take that bot tower. The good news for PSG is 2 items now finished for Hanabi, means that he's still a very big threat. The Void Staff looks like it is being worked on for Maple. As you can see, the Banshees being completed for Chovy means that ooh, nice hook. But Chovy completing that Banshees means that that kill threat is much lower, and now HANWHA want to go on the attack.
Hanabi is very strong and is immune for the start of this. He dives back, the needle work, take your vaccinations! Hanabi still falls as River looks to dive in onto Morgan. Rake coming back, Shadow Assault gets 1, gets 2 as Willa falls, 2 for 2 so far in this trade. Vsta coming in from the side as well. Hops down the Ignite Bone Skewer, will connect, and there's the kill. Chovy takes it.
And you can see PSG that they're just running down bot lane rather than trying to trade something else on the map. It was a bit of an awkward situation for PSG on the map because it seemed like Maple and Unified had just gone back to base, and this should guarantee hanwhalife another dragon, but no junglers.
Final chapter going out there, a bit miscoordinated. Whirling Death used as well. Unified trying to dash away with the Gale Force. Maple goes back in, that's the clone.
Oh, I got baited, I got baited.
Vista doesn't have ultimate either, so it's all good.
I really looked at that and I'm like, oh, he's dead. Oh!
He is dead.
He is dead, called it. Deft gonna drop off that one, and how many stacks did he lose? Oh, we weren't Draven stack counting.
I mean, he was at 516 at that bot lane fight.
So do you lose half? It's half,
I think it's half, yeah, right? So 256 now?
Oh no, only 256. But it's still a huge loss. And Deft had all of his summoners up, so he was not expecting that level of burst to come through. Now, the scary thing for HANWHA here is Baron is alive. Ooh, Vsta, I don't know if I agree with this.
Gonna get rooted with the deadly flush, and Vista's dead. Kaiwing takes it. And now Willa has to run for the hills.
It's just, yeah, mistake after mistake coming through from HANWHA right now. River now on the chase.
Willa's gonna try and get away, but River's still on the chase with the Shadow Assault. Willa slowed up just enough. Gore Drinker will hit him. But there he goes. River now caught under the tower. The creeps are blocking him. And Deft could just look for these auto attacks. One more would be enough. There's the stopwatch. Kaiwing looking for the auto attack into the shield, into the heal, and he manages to keep River alive, but not for long enough, and Kaiwing will fall in the end. Shut down over to Deft as he finally cashes in.
So he didn't quite get the 575 stacks that he had earlier, but still he does make himself some money, and every Jarvan player has done that, okay? Every Jarvan player has done that. It happens. It's an unlucky mistake. You have to look at it, though, and from the perspective of Willa, which is, I set my AD carry up. Here, all those kills that I stole from you earlier, now I've just given them back. And obviously his whole plan was that River would get creep blocked underneath the tower.
That's always a strategy.
So, hanwhalife find themselves still slightly ahead in gold, but a very competitive matchup as PSG continues to punish hanwhalife for these very small mistakes. And to be fair, when you think about hanwhalife, they weren't even expected to make it to Worlds, right? Their gauntlet run was quite impressive. I think that Nongshim, considering how strong they were during the regular season, many eyes were on them. But during the gauntlet, they faltered, and it was hanwhalife that really stepped up. And in particular, it was Chovy and Deft that were really turning heads and getting people to pay attention to them. And the reality is that being the 4th seed from the LCK, they do make these mistakes sometimes. They're not a flawless team, and while they have looked good, sometimes these small mishaps do rear their ugly head, and PSG are taking advantage of them. So it's pretty close between the two teams. A much-needed win, I think, for both even, because PSG, they don't want to fall to 0-2. Meanwhile, HANWHA, if they can get this win, they cement themselves in the group, as we see Morgan in some...
Ooh. Yeah, Morgan's dead.
Morgan is, in fact, dead. Good damage, but now HANWHA are going to use this window to force the Baron.
So Maple has TP. He's going to recall and look for the TP as soon as he can. River and Hanabi coming in from the bottom side of this Willa down to half HP, and he's actually going to jump out of the back of the pit here. And that is Baron stopped. HANWHA trying to make something happen on the other side of the map, but weren't able to do it. PSG still sticking around this Baron. Vsta looking for the steal, isn't able to secure. But as you say, like HANWHA, 8th in the LCK summer regular season, didn't even make it to playoffs, only came through the regional gauntlet. So definitely a team prone to a few mistakes. PSG, the same can be said for them. They lost to Beyond in their playoffs before coming back through the lower bracket. And
I mean, they also had a 48-game or 45-game winning streak or something stupid like that during their regular season.
I mean, last year, PSG absolutely dominated, right? They were far and away one of the best teams in the PCS, and now here, or at least in spring.
But Doggo.
Woof woof.
Yeah, he definitely made it much harder for PSG. But yeah, PSG is really a big question mark, I think, for many watchers, because they're a difficult team to predict. They're a team that you have to respect because they clearly have talented individuals, but sometimes they do make these mistakes. But right, this game they've looked solid. I like their use of the TP. Speaking of, all of them are about to come off cooldown, and that side lane becomes a scary prospect. We should be keeping our eyes on any potential deep vision that PSG is trying to set up, because they're going to look to try and find these TP flanks while Unified is just catching waves. And the scary thing is Yuumi can just come alongside them. So, oh, you think you're 1v1 in a side lane? No, 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 you're 4v1 in a side lane.
So Yuumi can't follow TPs anymore. That was changed a little while ago.
That's a great
but yes, kind of, but no.
That just shows you how much I play Yuumi.
I ban her every game, and I know all of her mechanics because I hate her so much. Hanabi's going to start up the Baron here as Morgan down towards the bottom side, can just TP in. No vision on this at the moment for HANWHA. Maple jumps in. Willa, half HP. That chain's going to connect. Do we go for 2? No. Dragon Strike used by Willow as he forces them away. TP coming out from Hanabi. PSG, you could just back away from this one. Instead, they decide to invest for the moment. Maple jumps away. Vsta on the front line, chunked out as well. Hanabi takes a bit of hurt from the Baron, but PSG will just disengage. And at this point, after you've reset the Baron, you should just fully disengage. All you wanted was the TP out of Morgan. You get that. Do not go back for the fight.
That's a good point. Well played there by PSG. They got what they wanted, and if they didn't have a TP advantage before, they've definitely got it now. Ooh, but look at the pings here from River. He's saying, hey, we can go back to the Baron. They should have a ward, and they can TP back in.
The problem is this control ward at the back. Like this.
Okay, so now Chovy can just solo this. And yeah, okay. So I think what PSG wanted to do here, they're still... No, they're not. They're not. Okay, so the idea from PSG was they want Drake. Oh, that's good damage.
Morgan step, holy! I don't think any of us expected that amount of damage from Morgan. Very squishy with the Ravenous Hydra, and the Triforce doesn't really have much tankiness at all. TP coming in from Chovy, the shortest TP you'll see today, but he's going to join this fight. Hanabi jumps off towards the back of the wall, and here's the final chapter. And there's Willa locked up, and Willa tries to flash away Starek's shield, saving him for the moment, but Hanabi is still on the chase. Off towards the top side, Chovy dodging away from the curtain call. Vsta low, he's down. Maple takes him once again. Another route connects, and Hanabi's diving under the towers. The shutdown will come down. Deft falls. Willa's going to follow shortly after. Chovy chased, raked up. River jumps across the wall. He will survive. And now PSG, 5 members alive to 1, can turn to the Baron.
Beautifully played team fight from PSG. The way in which they utilized that pick onto Morgan to turn it into a team fight. Hanabi going over the wall with the Yuumi to then lock down Willa, to then separate hanwhalife and chase them down. Just excellent execution. PSG will secure themselves the Baron, and they will secure themselves the gold lead for the first time in this game.
And after they got pulled around the map yesterday by RNG, I think a lot of people looked at PSG as a team that would struggle to challenge in this group. But with hanwhalife beating Fnatic yesterday, and with PSG in a good position here, I think now they should be eyeing up a very possible second spot in this group.
I mean, it's the classic day one reactions, right? Like, you see that one game, your expectations change, and now all of a sudden, day 2, oh, well, PSG's clearly going to win the group.
They're the best team in the world!
But let's have a look at how they play this fight, because it is very, very good. So it all starts with Maple. He's been the recipient of a lot of kills in the early game, and pop, just beautiful combo. Q into R, into W, into chain, proccing the second Q proc, which is very well done. Maple continuing to poke, and then watch what Hanabi does here. Goes over the wall, has the Yuumi, and then the ultimate comes through, and Willa doesn't have any way to disengage. Chovy's just trying to separate himself from the pack, but that creates a space for Hanabi to just run rampant. Look, he's just 1v3ing at this point. He's not afraid of anything. Maple secures 1 kill. Hanabi goes for the tower dive, knowing that Hanabi has the heals as well. Throws the stopwatch underneath the tower. Maple then tanks it. Just so well done. And you can see the elation on the PSG coaching staff's faces as they're able to get a big teamfight win over hanwhalife.
To see Hanabi and Maple teaming up like that, reminiscent of the Flash Wolves days. They are constantly just so strong together in these team fights, dodging in and out, back and forth, and now PSG with the Baron. This Red Bull Baron power play remains for the next minute and a half. They're about 2,000 gold off it right now. Oh, 3,000. Okay, that jumped from 1.8 to 3.0. PSG in a very strong position. Chovy forced away, Waves pushing in the top lane, mid lane's crashing right now. Vsta channeling up that bone skewer, but once again, Maple just able to dodge to the side. That's the 4th tower of this push going over to PSG as they look to continue to charge in. This is a huge, massive lead now for PSG as hanwhalife are pinned back into their base.
Certainly are. And what a big win for PSG this could be. You know, as you rightly said, many were skeptical after their day one performance. It felt like they were just kind of being run around by RNG, but definitely still a contender in this group. They will go 1-1 if they can get the win here. Things are looking very good for them, obviously. The people that they have to be afraid of are Deft and Chovy, who are still both at 3 items. Deft is still actually ahead of Unified in terms of gold, with the Infinity Edge being completed as well. Hanwha, you can't just afford to underestimate them, even though you do have the Baron and you're in a great position. PSG, they're splitting up the map right now. They have 4 members bot, Hanabi in mid. No one can fight Hanabi.
Willa rooted, there's the curtain call coming out. Willa's forced away, Maple dodges in. Looking for the damage, Deft eating a couple of shots, and Unified threads the needle, goes full Wanted style as he manages to curve that bullet onto Willa. hanwhalife deciding not to defend their jungler, it seems, as another tower falls. And PSG got basically everything they could off that Baron buff. 6,000 gold now their lead. There's 45 seconds on the Dragon. I wonder if hanwhalife will want to take this fight, because it would be Mountain Soul for them if they can somehow secure it.
It's a potential win condition for them to come back into the game. And as we mentioned, they just need one good fight. Deft and Chovy are still very strong. And you just have a look at the gold. You can see Chovy's still ahead of Maple. Deft has now fallen slightly behind after Unified got himself that kill. Morgan.
Is that the wisest?
Look at the pings.
Look at the pings. They have 2 TPs. Hanabi and Maple can go for this. They can just look for Chovy in the mid lane as well. Dragon up in 10 seconds time. The gold gap really for PSG sits in the jungle. Well, River about 4,000 gold ahead of Willa, who has shown us yesterday just how well he can play with a low economy jungler. He has been caught out just a few times. And hanwhalife, a 4th seed from the LCK, will back away. PSG will take their 3rd Dragon of the game as we continue in this slugfest between these 2 teams. It started off very slow, but PSG been able to find pick after pick after pick after pick. Hanabi diving in onto Morgan, who has the GA. Willa low, pops the stopwatch down towards the bottom side. Maple actually chunked out quite a bit. Morgan exhausted here. Maple's going to have to dodge away from this one. Cataclysm coming out. Willa dives in. Hanabi dives onto the back line. Morgan forced away. Curtain calls. And he looked for the shots. 1, 2, 3 goes wide. And a 4! Oh, you can farm all the CS you want, but if you can't dodge a single bullet from Jin's gun, you are donezo. Chovy deleted. And PSG now forcing in 2 lanes. Waves coming in the mid lane. Bot lane pushed in by Maple as well. You could very much see these inhibitors fall in soon, Vedius.
A lot of the wave clear has now gone for Hanwha. PSG with 5 members strong, Unified. He was shut down in the early game, but domestically, it's the mid to late game where this guy really contributes to his team. He's one of the big damage dealers, and he is stepping up. Hanabi being attacked. PSG can just see this as an opportunity to break into the base.
I mean, Willa almost dies. The chains go wide. He does die in the end as Hanabi takes him with stopwatch popped here. And Hanabi looking to dodge out of this one, healing up with the Riftmaker as much as he can. GA already popped his Hexagol Maiden, has been used by Morgan. And Morgan in the midst of 4. No escape for him. Inhibitor's still alive in the bottom lane, but not for long, you have to feel. PSG now pushing in. 4 members strong. Chovy has respawned. Has the flash, has the stopwatch, has the Emperor's Divide, has a plethora of options at his beck and call. The question is, can he catch out PSG? Because right now, they have 2 waves of minions to push in here. It looks like they will just back away. No super minions yet mean they are a little apprehensive about taking this fight.
Well, the Baron is also spawning right now, and PSG recognize, hey, if we die here for whatever reason, we're going to lose this objective, and then all of a sudden, all of our control could very well disappear. So let's not take the gamble. Hanabi has TP up in 15 seconds. We can start this one off if we really want to, and he can just TP on in. And there should be an easy objective that HANWHA shouldn't be able to contest, especially as the super minions make their way down towards HANWHA's base.
So my problem is PSG haven't really set up a vision line here. They have one ward at the back, and so Willa always had the possibility of getting in there, EQing and going for the Baron. PSG instead say, okay, well, we respect that. We're going to back away, wait for the super minions to push in bot lane, wait for the super minions to push in mid, and then we can reset for the Baron.
Well, so the point was there was the possibility, right? Because HANWHA, the second that they drop that blue trinket, not only are they burning a blue trinket, they're like, oh, they started it, we have to leave our base.
It's about the implication.
Yes, right. So you're basically threatening the concept that, hey, we could do Baron, and HANWHA's like, please don't. And then PSG is like, well, okay, you've now come all the way out here, we're going to leave. We'll see you in a bit. And now they can actually start the Baron, and look, there's no blue trinkets left. All of the vision has now gone because they were forced to use it to try and get into their own jungle, and that vision line you were talking about is now in PSG's favor. The TP's coming through. Let's hope that PSG don't flip this.
Yeah, Willow's in a good position. EQ combo not able to get in there in time. Baron secured, and immediately they dive in. Hanabi on the backline. Curtain call is opened up as Deft has to run for the hills already. Morgan is down. Chovy Emperors divides it, but those soldiers aren't bodyguarding you for long. Once again, Chovy falls, and PSG are looking for this win. Deft chunked out by the Yuumi. He tries to flash away, tries to get the damage down, but the whirling Deft just isn't enough to work its way through PSG. Vsta and Deft, the only two players left alive. River's already TP'd in. The Nexus in his sights as PSG look to take a win here against hanwhalife. Maple chasing Vsta out. Deft unable to get back to the base, and PSG will open their scoreboard here with a win over hanwhalife.
A much needed win and an impressive one. It was a slow early game, and I was really worried for Unified considering how much he was attacked in the early game. But Hanabi, he did his job in the 1v1 top lane. He was very impressive pretty much throughout the game. And it was just this triple teleport utilization from the side of PSG that was so great to see. They attacked the side lanes well. They found a number of picks. And overall, PSG had a very solid performance. This group is shaping up to be a very competitive one. And with RNG versus Fnatic coming up next, the outcome of that game could determine a lot.
Yeah, either means we have one clear standout at the top in RNG, or everyone is sitting at 1 and